Speaking of Miami, we have some breaking news right now out of the NFL. The Dolphins have fired head coach Mike McDaniel this morning, according to our own Adam Schefter. Dolphins owner Stephen Ross met with McDaniel earlier this week to discuss the season. And after that meeting and reflection, Ross decided it was time to move on. Desmond Howard's going to stay with us throughout this conversation. He is a Miami Dolphins season ticket holder. We're all kind of learning this news together. S.A., you go first. Your reaction to this?
It's absolutely appropriate. I don't have any problem with this decision. Mike McDaniel, and RC and Dan and others have said, and they've reminded us of how knowledgeable Mike McDaniel is as an offensive mind, as a football mind, and I get that part. But I've been on this show talking about the head coach needing to be a leader of men, and I don't view that as Mike McDaniel. I view him as a brilliant offensive mind that can be innovative in his own way and can make things happen for you. But when you have to be a leader of men in a National Football League, you got a 53-man roster. There's things you got to be able to peel out of brothers. He's 35 and 33 in 4 seasons, okay? Yes, he's been hampered by a quarterback that, you blow in his direction, he might catch a concussion. It's a problem when it comes to Tua Tagovailoa. It just is. It just is. I'm not knocking him for it. Those are men playing football. You got dudes that make RC look like me on a football field in this day and age because they're big boys. I'm talking about they're big boys. I'm a slim dude.
RC.
I'm a slim dude. You're not bigger than RC. You're taller than RC. I assure you, you are not bigger than RC. Neither one of us are. Together, we might not be as big as RC. RC's built like a brick house.
Yo.
I'm just a brick house, brother. I'm complimenting you. Take the compliment. You're in shape, brother. That's all I'm saying, bro. He's a big boy. And I'm saying to you, you look at some of these cats in the National Football League, they see Tua, and they're drooling at the mouth because, man, if I get a hat on this, brother, that's all I need to do because, you just watch and you see how it's compromised Mike McDaniel to some degree because you're limited at the quarterback spot because of his durability issues, all right? Tyreek Hill goes down. Obviously, there's but so much that you can do. I'm just looking at it. This is the big thing for me with Mike McDaniels. And I'm just saying this. I am not enamored with any football coach that can't find a way for his team to win in inclement weather. The Miami Dolphins, we ain't talking about blizzards, snow, storms, torrential rains. In 40, you know what I'm saying, Des, in 40-degree temperature or less, they can't win a football game. I need a new coach. We ain't gonna get specifics. I'm not questioning the football acumen. I'm not questioning the knowledge. I'm not questioning the play calling. I'm talking about knowing that you got men, that you got to lead. You got to find a way. You can't have a coach that settles for that, where everything got to be peachy. You got to have palm trees in the background, and the weather got to be nice and sunny in order for you to win football games. That has been the Miami Dolphins under Mike McDaniels. And I just think it's time for a change, and I got no problems with it.
Well, Mike McDaniel, in my opinion, showed that he can coach football. Mike McDaniel showed that he could lead men. Where this team was at about week 8 or week 9 and who I believe this team became at different parts of the last stretch of the season was a team that played with effort, was a team that didn't quit, was a team that defensively still ran and hit, and was a team that, even though hampered offensively by your quarterback then playing a backup, found ways to reinvent themselves creatively in the run to be competitive. But let's be real. We are here today with the Miami Dolphins as an organization because they drafted Tua Tagovailoa. Not because Tua Tagovailoa isn't talented, not because he didn't deserve to be drafted there, but because of the injuries, because of some of what we've seen since he got his money. Brian Flores was no longer the coach of the Miami Dolphins because of his relationship with Tua Tagovailoa when he showed you he was a good football coach. So you brought in Mike McDaniel, somebody that would empower him, somebody that would put him in the best place to succeed, and now you're having people saying he's not a leader of men, where the only reason Tua Tagovailoa became who he became was because of him. And now that Tua Tagovailoa is no longer a starting caliber quarterback because the injuries have taken their toll and because physically he can no longer do it at a high level, that's why Mike McDaniel is out. Not because he's not a good leader of men, not because he's not a good football coach, but because he was tied to a quarterback that can no longer do it. And they are saying we're going to reset and rebuild totally, and I believe they're making the right decision.
Yeah, this marks the official end for Tua in Miami.
Yep.
Miami got information over the last 24 hours of something and/or somebody. Because as of 2 days ago, Mike McDaniel was going to be a part of the new GM hiring. And now, all of a sudden, that's no longer the case. You don't make this decision if you're Miami unless you have gotten wind of something or somebody having interest in the job. 3, it's a complete and total rebuild in Miami. The 3 main spots, the general manager, the head coach, and the quarterback will all be new. 4, Mike McDaniel becomes the best available offensive coach in football. And if you're a team that is looking to hire a new offensive coach and coordinator, or there's a head coach offering or opening, you should attach yourself to Mike McDaniel. Because if he goes to New York, you're going to watch Jackson Dart take off. If he goes to Atlanta, you're going to watch a young quarterback or Kirk Cousins play at a high level. Mike McDaniel becomes the most desired offensive coach available in the NFL.
I agree with Stephen A. that Mike McDaniels is probably one of the best offensive coordinators. I think he has a brilliant offensive mind. I remember when he came to Miami. I mean, I'm a season ticket holder, have been for probably about 10 years now. When he first came to Miami, he came, if you guys remember his press conference, he looked like a geek, kind of like a football nerd, you know, and he had his glasses on, suit, and the way he spoke, he's like, this guy's like a football nerd. Then he turned into Joe Cool, like he was a character out of Miami Vice. Like you see him on the sidelines, he started wearing these capris and everything. It just seems like things kind of changed. And offensively, Tua, when they drafted Tua, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was on crutches. So they knew that they were getting someone who was kind of injury prone. And then the concussions, they started to add up. They knew that they had to move away from Tua. People in my section started to talk about not renewing their tickets because of the product on the field. And so I believe that this is a move that they had to make because there was just no way, no vision for this team moving forward where it seems as though there was anything positive, especially with Tua making the comments that he made recently about a new start somewhere, how that would be dope. So at that point, you have to do something extreme to try to keep your fan base and keep people in seats. And I think that means get rid of the old and start to try to usher in the new with the Miami Dolphins.
Couple of big things to point out here before we end this subject. Let's get back to Mr. Tua Tagovailoa for a second. Nice kid. I met him when he was at Alabama, won the national championship for them. Big-time thrower of the football at the time. We get all of that, right? I'm wondering, what do you want next? To a diaper and a bib? You complained about Brian Flores once he was gone. Now you're sitting up there talking about how, well, you know what, it's a fresh change. Who are you to say that? Now, we can sit up here and say, Mike McDaniel, yo, I'm just keeping it a buck.
What's wrong with you, man?
Just keeping it a buck. We can sit up here and say that Mike McDaniel, 35-33, 4 times, 4 seasons in Miami, 2 playoff appearances, no victories in 4 seasons. It's time for a change. We can say that. But and I can talk about, you can debate about leader of men or whatever, because I'm thinking about what they had in Brian Flores. And I think Brian Flores, had he stayed, would have done a better job than what Mike McDaniels ended up doing. That's my personal opinion. Having said that, I'm not going to sit there and tell you that Mike McDaniels don't know football. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that the man can't coach, that he doesn't have a football acumen. When I'm talking about a leader of men, I'm talking about that something inside of you that gets to peel everything out of them. Now, I know we saw them look better as the season went. You're absolutely right. I neglected to mention that, and I shouldn't have. I'm glad you brought that up, because they did look better as the season wanes, went on a little winning streak. We get that part. But I say that about Tua is because what have you done where you got paid. Everybody's looking at you as overpaid. You complained about Brian Flores after he was gone. And I mean, the brother was down. You understand what I'm saying? Suing the NFL, going through all of this stuff. And that's when you wanted to pile on and talk about how he treated. And mind you, he didn't talk about him as a coach. He didn't talk about how he was with the team. He talked about himself. Oh, he treated me this way. That's where the pacifier and the bib comes in. You know what I'm saying? He hurt your feelings. You know what I'm saying? He held you accountable. He was on you. That's what you talking about, and then you go on the field. And why did you say that about Brian Flores? Because you were implying that that's not Mike McDaniel. But Mike McDaniel on the hot seat, and look at who opened their mouth and said change is good then. It was Tua. You looking to get somebody else done? You looking to mess with somebody else's coaching career? Why don't you leave the football field since a wolf can concuss you and come be a pundit then? Why don't you do that? Because as a football player, you're a football player, you're a football player. Y'all cool with the fact that he called out Brian Flores at that time after Brian Flores is gone and he's got to deal with the issues that he had to deal with? And then now that Mike McDaniels is on the hot seat because rumors were that he could be gone, and that's when you choose to talk about how a fresh start would be good. You cool with that? I'm asking. I'm asking.
Two sides to every story.
Wow.
I'm gonna be honest.
Wow.
Two sides to every story.
Okay.
The way Tua started to move this year
was different.
Disappointed me.
Yeah.
The way he talked about teammates, the way he let locker room business become public, it was very gossipy.
Yep.
Right? And so when you have a leader who behaves in that way, that's no leader of mine.
There we go.
In a locker room full of fathers and full of people who have to walk in their houses and take care of their families, and this is their livelihoods, that's not the sort of leader I want.
You said it, Cam said it.
He refused to be accountable for many parts of the last couple of years. And I think that's a big reason why Miami went the way they went.
I did not know of all the gifts that you had. Football analyst, you understand? Preacher on the podcast. I mean, brother preaches now. Motivational speaker. I didn't know that you were an English teacher as well. So eloquent. Breaking all of that down. You said the same thing I said. The same thing.
We gotta go.
Are you done?
With the Mike McDaniel firing, there are now 8 vacancies in the NFL. We should also note, though, Adam Schefter is tweeting that the Dolphins have not contacted John Harbaugh or made inquiries to any other coach. This is an independent situation.